Hola, peoples of the internet. I'm back with another
DiamondFire's.
And this
It is not like any server that you've ever seen.
The first ever game that I decided to code on DiamondFire was a no-shift parkour. I remember I saw someone did a variation of it, and I was like mind blown. I was like, oh my god, this is the most fun game in the world. And I had just started coding. And honestly, I had a bit of trouble with it at first, because I was fairly new to coding. I had never done it in high school or anything. But it was an awesome game, and it blew up at least. I had a bunch of players on it for a couple of weeks. It was what inspired me to start coding games, and it allowed me to progress and further it. Like, I added checkpoints and everything. I remember I was so proud of that. It was awesome.
The first plot I ended up making was called a Dote Jungle. Got the name. I wanted something in a different language for whatever reason, so I got the name off of like a list of different Native American words for, I believe it was tree. So the actual name of the plot was Tree Jungle, but it's a very simple parkour plot. And it's what ended up getting me into the junior helper role on the staff team.
When I first joined the staff team, I remember it was like the most amazing group of people I had ever met. I'd never met a group of people that were such close friends online before. It wasn't something that I had ever experienced. And that was way back when we used Skype. I remember when I got added to the DiamondFire's server and everything.
By the time that I had joined, the staff team at the time was run by an admin known as 40 Short Stack. They had 6 support members, as well as various moderation members.
And then when I got promoted to mod, way back, even we had a group called the Mod Squad. It was like a bunch of us OGs. It was awesome. That was something that Ryan and I were part of as well. We had a lot of fun in there. We had a profile picture for it and everything. One of the funny stories from the early staff team that we bring up once every couple of months is the J Water incident. When JJ05 was doing World Edit with some water, he accidentally added like a bunch of zeros, and he flooded a whole node. We had a whole cleanup team dedicated to it, and we still haven't forgiven him for it. It gets brought up every once in a while in admin chat.
Hello there, everybody. Digital Guy here, and today I got a quite interesting video for you. So, at first, you're gonna think like, what on earth is this guy and what could a player have been?
For a long time, we didn't have any way of gaining rank or status. There was no creator points, there was no creator levels, no creator ranks, nothing like that. And it was very much a large community-led, everybody's helping everybody type of situation.
DiamondFire promotes so much social interactions. It's one of the things that I love most about the server. We've made it so easy to hop on, instantly start gaming and coding with people, making more games, more friends. I remember even when we decided to switch to using Discord, that was the best thing we've ever changed in the social aspect of it. We're able to do so much more media output and communicate with the community as a whole as to what we're doing. It makes communication so much easier.
It almost felt like a classic creative server. People or just asking strangers if they could build on their plot. If somebody added you onto their plot, that was like instant friendship. The biggest that you could get socially without becoming a staff member was claiming that you could use variables, or you could make a checkpoint. We're talking about an era in 2015, 2016 when something like Scratch is just being introduced to grade schools.
My absolute favorite feature that we ever decided to add was fast async world edit. Back in the day, if you did over like 2,000 blocks, the server would instantly lag and crash. It was awful. And now we can do like 10,000 blocks and it's instant. It adds the ability to build so much quicker and get so much more done. People are pumping out games like crazy now.
Back when we had the old forums, that was where all the suggestions went. So I was like, hey, I really need a mob to have some kind of potion effect. And so eventually what was added in was a whole new code block, which at the time was just mind-blowing that there could be other code blocks. So I always like to say that I kind of inspired Entity Actions. I like to be a little silly about it and just say that I deserve just like 1% of the credit.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome to a brand new video. We are here on the DiamondFire server, a server where you can pretty much program your own mini games with other people. This is absolutely a crazy idea for a server, and I cannot believe they've managed to make it work. It's got mini games made by a lot of different people, and it also gives you the opportunity to learn how to program.
The old YouTube sponsorships are a little of a blur for me. I couldn't even tell you what year they happened, but what I do remember is that it was very similar reaction for the first few. It was pure chaos. But what would happen is we would get, for about 5 to 6 hours, we would get just a huge influx of players. We would have all hands on deck, so every support member would be on, every moderation member would be on, Chairmaster would be on, and several of the admins. At that point, we also had a very heavy limit on how many plots we could make. And so a large worry was that we were not going to have enough plots for every player.
I think the most memorable thing about doing the old YouTube sponsorships and when we were first figuring it out was how much prep that we actually had to think about. Like, we were like, oh my gosh, there's going to be all these players on the server, like when they're filming, after they're filming. We had to plan out everything. We had to have moderators on because of the giant inflow of players. That we had to have a bunch of supports on to answer everyone's questions. It was definitely a challenge at first, but I feel like we got a good system down for it now.
I think if you told me back in 2014 that DiamondFire would still be going strong 8 years later, I'm not sure if I would have believed it. There were a couple times in the early days where I thought, maybe this is the end of the road. But time and time again, really, the players have proven that DiamondFire really is something special. I've been doing weekly streams for I think a couple years now, and been able to really check out a lot of games, and the quality of the games is just so astounding, really, compared to, back in 2014 there was just nothing like what we see today on DiamondFire. At the time, I was the only developer, and we had just a handful of staff, and now we have this really awesome team doing events and answering questions, dealing with reports, sorting through suggestions, coding, the whole thing, really. Just all these really awesome things that are positively impacting the experience for people on DiamondFire. And so for me, personally, it's such an honor to see all these folks in our community who, in some cases, their lives have really been transformed by DiamondFire. People have made a lot of friends, maybe they've discovered an interest in coding or game building, and all this really cool stuff. So, happy 8 years. Big thanks to all of you, especially my longtime staff who have been with me on this journey for all this time. And I'm excited for the future of DiamondFire next year and beyond.